last year's floods did not affect, I repeat, did not affect this area. So this is the first time that the people of Umerkot, Tharparkar are facing this kind of problem. Last year's floods affected Badin, Thatta, Hala. This time round, Umerkot has also been affected. Tharparkar has also been affected. This area, this was a dry water course. That's why this water is now, it's now become a river, and I don't know where this water is going to go because there's been so much encroachment. And now we are heading straight into what used to be a village. We're turning course. We're going to go into this narrow area on the behind us, and so I'll let the camera pan around there. And we're now heading into a water course which will take us to one of the villages that has nobody living there anymore. They've been evacuated, but we will hopefully be able to see what has happened over here to give you, the viewers, some idea of what it's like here in Umerkot. And as we near the village, the first signs of what used to be human habitation, people's slippers floating in the water. And we are now poling our way now into the village. The water here is still at least 5 feet deep, and it's hard to traverse here. And we are checking the water levels as we go along to make sure that we can go through. We don't want to get stranded over here. But the water levels, I'm no expert, of course, but if you can look at the edge of the vegetation, it seems that the water level has receded a little bit. Again, as I said, I'm no expert, but you can tell by what is exposed now that the water seems to have reduced by maybe 6 to 8 inches. Perhaps water has gone down in the few days of sunshine that has been here. But this is a wasteland. It's an absolute wasteland. It's hard to believe that there were people living here, that there were villages here, that there were communities here. And now further signs of habitation as we near the village, electricity poles. And if it wasn't for the electricity poles, I would think that I'm driving through the Everglades or some swamp forest in deep, dark Amazon, because it is incredible the kind of devastation and damage that we are seeing over here. And now we've arrived at a village, and you can see the absolute devastation over here. There's nobody living here. It's a ghost village now. It's empty, but you can see the remnants of what was once probably a prosperous village by local standards. The houses are completely destroyed. It's going to take a long time for them to be able to rebuild this. Some poor farmer has abandoned his tractor here as well. And it's hard to believe that people lived here. And they're all been evacuated, but this was definitely a village that was not just. I'm at a loss for words. It's so hard to describe to you what I'm seeing over here. It's just electricity powered. There are water tanks on what were on people's homes. A few homes that were semi-solid or built of cement have survived. The rest just haven't. They're just all gone. And these are just abandoned homes. People have fled, leaving everything behind. The water level has receded from this one place. You can see the water, the earthenware things called Mirpurkhas that people use for water. They've just been abandoned here as well. And it's a ghost town. We can hear a voice. Maybe he chose to stay behind. And you can see that this was a prosperous community. I mean, there are dish antennas on some people's roofs to receive television. that blue water tank. So this was a community that definitely needs to be rebuilt. And of course, the mainstay of this region is livestock, and no animals have survived here. The people fled, so their livelihood has been destroyed. Their cattle has gone. This is a little tricky here because the boat is kind of, we've stopped it. I mentioned earlier that I heard voices. Well, there are a couple of people here, so we're going to talk to them. Assalamu alaikum जी, क्या नाम है आपका? अलीगुल. अलीगुल. तो अलीगुल मुझे बताएं कि यहाँ पे आप क्यों रुके हुए हैं?
हमारा गांव है इसलिए हम रुके हुए हैं.
To just quickly recap for you, Ali Gul was just telling me that there was a massive storm, and that's when the water level rose very suddenly and flooded the entire village. And they had a lot of people over here. कितने लोग रहते थे गांव में? Okay, there were 300 or 400 people living over here, and they were completely stranded here, complete cut off. And then eventually the police came here and they rescued them, took them to higher ground. And the village, of course, has been completely destroyed, as we've been telling you. It's a ghost town. It's so scary. I keep repeating myself, but it is sad to see this. And Ali also tells us that they had about 200 plus head of livestock, goats, cattle, buffalo. Most of them drowned, and the others, of course, some just died of probably not being able to get fed or whatever, and a few were stolen as well. So that's why these men have come back to protect whatever is left of the belongings in the village. They 6 or 7 men over here. They're all guarding the belongings of the 400 plus people that lived here. Their families are now on higher ground, living in camps, in shelters. And of course, the other important thing to tell you over here is that these men, I asked them, how do they survive? Well, right now, as you can see, the police gave them some rations, gave them some biscuits. That's all we had right now on the boat with us. But the senior police officer, the DPO, he's also given them cash to be able to buy whatever they need. And very, very importantly, when I asked them how do they manage, they actually walk out. They actually walk out in this water when they need to get to the mainland to get any supplies for themselves. And this is really, really tragic. I don't know how soon this village will be able to be habitable again without help. They need help, and that help has to come here to help people rebuild their lives and rebuild their homes. Now we've just exited the village, and I wanted to get some idea of how much water there is. So I'm going to plunge this back into, oh my God, it's pretty deep and the water is flowing pretty fast. But yeah, oh whoa, okay, it's about 4 feet here. It's about 4 feet. So the people, when they come out, the water is still deep here. So they're probably walking out in about this much water. And that's how they have to walk, and they have to cross that huge waterway. There must be ways from the side probably that they use to get out. I didn't get a chance to ask them, but I'm assuming that they go alongside the banks and make their way. And the scary part, of course, on all this is, again, I find myself repeating myself so often, using words like scary, because that's what it is. It's scary. It's terrifying what has happened over here with the rains, and add to that the man-made disasters, the aggravations, lack of clearing natural waterways, which should have been happening by the irrigation department from 1988 onwards. This simply could, if not completely prevented, could certainly perhaps have been minimized. We never thought Umerkot could sink like this. It's a desert. The desert is blooming, but it's drowning as well. Okay, we've arrived back at where we had started on the boat, and now we're going to make our way to the camp where people are, those people who have been evacuated from the village that we just saw, that we showed you. Now we're going to go and find out about how the people are making do, surviving in those camps. So stay with us, please. First, can you tell me your name, please?
My name is Chaudhry Muhammad Inamullah.
Just as we got off the boat, I met a local landlord over here whose lands have been affected by the water. So he's going to try and tell us exactly what the problems he's facing. Let me ask you one thing. Where are your lands?
My land is near on Dhora. Okay. Near right, left hand and right land.
Right, you've got land to both sides. What crop were you growing?
Chilies and cotton, both crops.
Gone?
Finished.
Completely.
Yeah.
And what problem are you facing now? How are you going to drain the water out?
ये ढोरा जो है ये पानी रन ऑफ कच्छ में जहाँ
this is a problem here. This water can naturally flow into the run of Kutch. That's a natural waterway. But there's a landlord who's blocked the band. He's blocked it. Band bana diya. This Rind family, Akhbar Rind and his family, they've blocked to protect their own farms. They're not letting the water go out from here. Now this has to stop. I mean, the government has to take serious action. Apparently the chief minister has already given orders for this to happen, and the DIG. And the DIG has tried to do it, but they haven't been able to do it yet because these landlords won't let it happen. And this kind of thinking, protect my own, who cares what happens to the others, this thinking has to stop. You know, otherwise everybody drowns. And that's okay, that band is in district Mirpurkhas. We're in Umerkot right now, so that's district Mirpurkhas. So you know, these things have to be organized by the provincial level, where they have to make sure that the water drains out. We are saying that over and over again. The water has to drain out. Okay, we've arrived here at a makeshift camp where the people displaced by the floods are living, from who have escaped their flooded, destroyed homes here in Umerkot, and the few people who have been able to save their livestock. That buffalo there is making rude noises at me, but well, we hope he doesn't attack us. But look at it. Just take a look around you. It's hot, and this area at night is full of mosquitoes. There's very little clean drinking water. People have been able to salvage what they can from their homes. They brought them all out here. They're trying to dry their pillows, their comforters, their blankets, and they're living as best as they can. And we'll find out these plastic sheets are far better than what we've seen in other parts of the area. And some livestock here as well, goats and buffaloes tied up. And we are going to sit down and talk to the community and try and find out what their problems are and what they're facing. But these plastic sheets, I think they've been provided. I'm going to check on this for you, but I believe they've been provided by the provincial, the leadership here. Nawab Yusuf Talpur had told me earlier that he's arranged for these plastic sheets at 200 rupees per sheet, and that is what's protecting people. But what people now need, and this is important, tents, yes, plastic sheets are going to provide cover from the shade, but mosquito nets are crucial. If there has already been, as we said, that one confirmed case of dengue right here in Kundri. We are in Kundri right now where the first case of dengue fever has been reported. Mosquito nets are crucial at this point. We need to get that here to make sure that there's no epidemic of dengue in this area. We've already spoken to other doctors here, other people here. Gastroenteritis, malaria is already on the rise. And we have also spoken with people who are having trouble. Women's health issue is a big problem. They're pregnant women all over the province, even here in Umerkot. Earlier we met that girl whom I mistakenly had thought was very young. Later on, I found out she was 22 years old. So correct me for that mistake. I apologize for that mistake. She was 22, but she looked like she was 13. And that's probably part of the fact that they're malnourished. And this area is of poor people, but some pockets of prosperity, definitely. But everything is now gone. I've just spoken to this lady over here, and there is a young girl here. She's pregnant, but it's in the early days. She's probably in her second or third month, but I'm going to talk to her and see if I can find out what kind of prenatal care she's hoping to get. जी ये बच्ची की शादी को कितना अर्सा हुआ है?
बच्ची की शादी को 5 महीने हुए.
Menaz is just telling me here that this girl here, of course, she's been married for 5 months. They suspect she's pregnant. She's probably about 2 or 3 months along. And she's very young, but she's very sick. She's vomiting, not just because of pregnancy, but because she's got gastroenteritis. And there is a doctor here in this community. She's further on over here, and that doctor is helping out. But the biggest problem Menaz is telling me that's happening over here is diarrhea and vomiting. That's gastroenteritis. And she's telling me about her grandchild who can't walk anymore because she has such severe diarrhea. पानी अचानक आया या
अचानक
ऐसा ऊपर हुआ?
ऐसे ऊपर ऐसे ही आ रहा था,
रेले में आ रहा था।
हाँ, ऐसे
The women here are telling me that the